ear wires are again quite similar to make to the necklace ends. I'm using the 1mm wire, 1mm being 18 gauge. So I've cut the end flush. And if you don't have these, you could always use round nose pliers. You just need to remember whereabouts on the pliers that you're using them, so you get the same shape each time. You could even put a little mark on there with your pen so you're getting it to the same size. So I'm going to go for the smaller size. Grab the very end, turning the pliers around. And you have to keep pulling on it quite tight to get the wire to wrap tightly around it. And then I'm going to go around a bigger one there. I'll go for that size there. And I'll rest that on the top there. I'll pull the wire around as if we were doing the clasp for the bracelet. So what we need to do now is make another one of these the same. Again, I love these pliers and I would be stuck without them. I'm sure there are lots of fantastic YouTube videos out there that will show you how to do them. Maybe draw a picture and then measure it and match it to the actual drawing. I'm going to use these pliers. So I'll do another. Wrap tightly around the smallest one, and then I'm going to use that size there. I'm going to rest that on the top. Pull it around so you can see that there. So now I've got two, and they are roughly the same size as each other. So what we need to do now is holding them exactly on top of each other. I've seen some people on some of the videos and they say make the two together at the same time. So you could actually curl the wire around the pliers and have two pieces of wire in your hand and give that a go. I really struggle to match them up, but I've made quite a few of these, so it does take practice. You won't get this first time. So what I'm going to do now, so I've got them right next to each other, I'm going to cut these wires together so they're both the same length. So now I'm going to put them back on top of each other like that. One is actually longer than the other. And then you take your pliers, any pliers, and I'm just going to put a little dink in the end. Oh, I keep moving. Stay where I put you. It is so tricky doing this in front of the camera. If I could just hold it in my hands, I would do it so much quicker. But I'm going to get them together. I'm going to grab hold of this here and I'm going to bend it. And I'm going to do it off camera and then come and show you what I did. So I've managed to hold them together. I chopped them off to be the same length. And I've got my pliers in there and I've put just a small bend on the end of the wires there. And you'll need to file these down a little bit to get them nice and smooth. And you've got yourself a pair of ear wires. These are copper. If I was making some ear wires for earrings that I'd already made, I wouldn't use copper. I'd use sterling silver or gold filled, but again, that's me. That's my thing. But there you go, a couple of ear wires. So I'm just going to use my round nose pliers to close up those rings a bit because you don't want those catching on anything. So let's make a basic chain link. This is my 1mm wire, and I'm going to work straight off the roll this time. You can do this with round nose pliers, but you're going to have to put a little mark on there and make sure that every time you twist it around there, you get it to be exactly the same size. So we want all the same size ones. So I'm going back to my trusty bail pliers, and I'm going to use this size this time. I'm just going to do a simple figure of 8 chain link. So I've got a nice flush end there, and you can always file that flat a little bit if you want to. Turn it around so you've got that nice shape that I always seem to start off doing. And then I'm just going to grip it at the bottom. I'm actually going to put that off that reel because that's going to stop me. So now I grip it at the base of the shape there. Take the wire around. To meet the top, so we've got 2 of the same shape. And I'm going to cut that there, a little figure of 8. So if you're using your round nose pliers, make sure you put a little mark on with your pen. There's a permanent type of pen. Where's my? I've got them here. So now I'm just going to take the ends, pull them a little bit closer in so they're not open. I need my pliers just to straighten it up a bit. Little figure of 8 link. Like I say again, there are no rules with this. You can do whatever you like. You can make quite a few of these to actually make a chain, or you could make a few to add to the end of a chain that you've already bought to make it a bit more unique. So you grip it towards the end and wrap it around. I'll show you again because I didn't do it very well. Till it meets. And then grip the other side. This time bend the wire around. If you can work straight off the reel, then you won't have much wastage with your wire. Just pulling it into shape. My round nose pliers, that one's a bit better. So again, they're a bit fiddly. But it is a good way of learning about your wires and getting used to how they curve. It's a little figure of 8 chain, so you could make a few of these. And when you're opening these, again, make sure that you twist it. So hold the part that you want to open, and then using some different pliers, hold the other side, twist it open and twist it closed, and that'll keep the shape. So now I'm going to just attach a little bead to the wire. Another little technique for getting you used to your wires. I'm using 1mm wire again, so this is 18 gauge. I'm going to take my round nose pliers, grabbing them right at the, not quite at the ends. I'm going to bend the wire around. A nice tight shape like that, and then gripping the wire in the pliers, I'm going to bend the wire straight down like that, right at the base of that ring. Like that. I'm going to close that ring, it's a little bit open. I've got an 8mm bead. Pop that on the wire. Just these little techniques, they just help you to get used to your pliers and your wires. So I'm going to grip it quite close to the top there, and I'm going to bend the wire around the pliers. So I've made a loop, and it's quite tight to the top of the bead, and I'm going to bend it a little bit so it's straight like that. So hard to show you what I'm doing. So now I'm going to take this wire around the bead, and you have to pull it really tight. Get it to go around the bead. So you could cut your wire there if you want to. You could cut your wire there and squeeze it flat with pliers, and then you can attach this to anything you want to. You could attach it to an ear wire, and it's simple earrings. We could attach it to the bottom of a pendant. What I'm going to do, I'm going to grip back onto that round curve at the top there with my pliers. I'm going to carry on bending this wire around, and I'm going to go right across the bead and around to and around the back of the bottom loop, and then I'm going to keep going and wrap it around that bottom loop. It's so hard to show you how to do this. Let's try holding it this way. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to go around that bottom loop. It's much easier than it looks. I'm going to cut that quite close there. I just find my other pliers, and I'm going to squeeze that in so that's nice and tight around the bottom there. Now you can attach that to ear wires, or you can dangle it off the bottom of a pendant. Just a nice way of adding a little bead to something. And again, it gets you used to handling your wires and your pliers. We've been through a few of the basics. Let's have a go at wrapping a stone, and I'm going to be using silver filled. I've got 0.8mm wire, which is 20 gauge, and 0.315, which is 28 gauge weaving wire. My stone is 23mm about by 14mm. You can use any stone you like. To work out the size, to work out the amount of wire you're going to need for your stone, what I do is I imagine my stone. If I start measuring from the bottom, I'm going to need about this much wire off the top of my stone. So then I'll turn my stone around against the wire and say I'm going to need about this much. So you've got a nice length. So that's my decided length of wire, which is, for my stone, it's about 18 centimetres, so it's about 7 inches. So if you've got a bigger stone, you'll need a little bit more wire, or if it's a smaller stone, you'll need a bit less. And I need to cut another 2 lengths of that wire. So we're just going to do a basic wrap on this cab. So I've cut 3 lengths of my wire at 7 inches, and that's 0.8mm wire, and I've got some weaving wire, 0.315mm weaving wire, which is 28 gauge, and that's 20 gauge, and I'll probably need about 100 or 200 centimetres of this wire, and we'll just do a basic wrap on a cabochon. I'll be using my pliers, round nose pliers, and my nylon pliers. Again, my weaving wire is wrapped on a bobbin. You can cut short lengths and just go with that if you prefer to do that. But I've got mine on a bobbin because I just find that a little bit easier to handle. So find the centre point of the wires and take your weaving wire, and we're going to wrap 3 times around that bottom wire. And then wrap around all 3 wires about 5 times. And then around that bottom wire about 3 times. Push it all together. I'm going to trim that wire off at the beginning. I'm going to trim this wire too. Make sure my wires are all flush and pressed down. There's little end bits. And I'll go over the whole thing as well just to flatten it down. So you should have this right in the middle of the wires. It just holds everything together. Mine's a little bit off centre. Slide it along a little bit. Now we're going to wrap these wires around the stone. To start to curve the wires a little with your thumb first. And then we're going to go around the stone, so moving to a flat surface. I'm going to wrap those wires around the stone. It is fiddly and it does take some getting right, and you can fiddle with this shape as much as you like until you're happy with it. But we're going to wrap the wires completely around that stone. I won't pick it up because I shall end up just throwing the stone across the room. When you get to this position, you then want to take the top of the wires and just straighten them up a bit. Try not to let them cross over each other. So you've got this shape. It should look something like this. Try not to let the wires cross over the sides. So this is the shape of the wire wrapped around the stone. So now I'm going to take my weaving wire and I'm going to go around that back bottom wire 3 times. And I'm going to slide it down and I want it to sit, because I'm going to do this on the other side as well, and we want it to sit in the same place on both sides. I want it about halfway. Just gives it a bit of extra strength. And then go over all 3 wires, around all 3 wires. I'm going to go around them 3 times, and then around the bottom wire 3 times. And it's best to push it together to keep it tidy. That's from the front, that's from the side. So as I wrapped the 3 extra times around this back bottom wire when we started, the extra wraps now is the back. So these longer wraps show the front. So we'll try to match that on the side as well. So we've got the more wraps on the back wire, and that the front is the same on both. I'll trim off those tail ends, giving them a little pull first, so that they're tight in place. Squeeze down those ends. We're going to do the same on this side as well. So you need to make sure that the back is going to be the back on this side as well. So as we've wrapped 3 times around this back wire, we now need to wrap 3 times around this top wire, so it matches all the way around. So try and get it in the centre. You want to go 3 times around that back top wire. And then 3 times around all 3 wires. and then finish with 3 wraps around that top wire again. Squeeze it together, pull them tight. Cut off those tails. And then just tuck those end bits down, press them down flat. So that's what we've got so far. So now we try your stone to make sure it still fits, because we may have bent those wires. Strapping them together on the sides there. Make sure you've still got nice snug fit. I've bent my top wires out a little bit there. So take your weaving wire, leaving a short tail. I'm going to wrap around the top wires. You're going to make sure that these wires haven't crossed over each other, because that can look very untidy. I'm going to go around the whole thing about 5 times. And then take this wire, that tail wire that we left, and go through the middle and around 3 wires on the one side, just to finish off that wire. Go around about 3 times. If you want to do more basic wraps like this, then Oksana Crafts has some fantastic designs. I'll put a link in the description below. So now I'm just finishing off this wire by wrapping around one of the back wires. This wire furthest to the back, either one will do, and I'm going to go around 3 times just to secure that wire in place. Try your stone again, make sure it still fits. So I'm just going to trim that weaving wire off for now. Flatten it down. You could put your stone in place, push it in from the back, turn it over. We're going to secure this stone in place now and try and stop him keep popping out. So using your nail to start with, and pull these wires till you've just got a gap. I'm just going to check that those wires are in the middle. That one's dropped down a little bit, because you want them to be the same as each other. If one's higher, you'll see it. That one's still a little bit higher. That'll do. So I'll pop my stone back in. Turn over to the back. And I am going to pull those wires over just a little bit with my fingers. And then take your pliers. Grabbing the wire. I'm going to slowly bend it in. And that, what I just did, is going to cause a huge tool mark. Grab this side. The reason I bent it with my fingers in the first place was to try and not slip with the tools and cause tool marks. So that'll hold the stone in at the bottom. Try and match them up a bit. And then I'm going to pull the top, hold on to the top wires when you do this so you don't move them too much. Pull those top wires over a little bit. And I'm going to grab those wires at the top. I'm just going to bend it down so the stone stops popping out from the top. Try not to slip too much with my pliers. So that holds the stone in from the back. But still going to keep slipping out the front there. So we need to do the same at the front. Now the back is kind of your practice run. So you've got to get the front tidy. You can do the back a little bit messy and you'll be okay. The front needs to be tidy. So as before, pull those wires forward a bit with your nail. And then take your pliers, grab that wire and bend it in. I hold the top of the wire as I bend it in, like that, and then you've got to try and match that up on the other side. Like that. So it's holding the stone in place. I do the same at the top. Grab onto that wire and bend it in. Like that. And on this side. Holds it all in securely and stops it popping out. Once you've got this basic part of this done, you can then do whatever you like with the rest of these wires coming out the top. You can make it your own in so many different ways. As soon as your stone is secure and it's not going anywhere. I've spread all my wires out so I can see what I've got there. So what I'm going to do, like what we did earlier when we were doing the weaves, I'm going to take the two front middle wires, push the others to the back a little bit for now, and I'm going to weave across these two wires. And I'm going to do the first weave that we did today, the 3-3 weave. So attach your weaving wire to that bottom wire. I'm going to wrap around 3 times. I'm doing it at the end here because it's just easier to wrap around the end of the wire. And then I'm going to slide it down into place. And I've got the tail there that I can now hold on to stop the weave keep sliding up out of place. And I'm going to wrap 3 times around both wires. And then I'm going to continue doing that, so we'll have 3 wraps around the bottom wire, 3 wraps around both wires. Wire wrapping can be very enjoyable to do, but it can also be very frustrating, and if your weaves aren't very tidy, don't worry about it. Just keep practicing and keep practicing, because they will get tidier. I think the key to it is taking it really slowly and watching each wrap as it goes on, and then sit the next wrap right up next to it as you go, so you can see, take it slow, you can see that it's going to be tidy when it's done, one wrap at a time. And then as time progresses, you could go a little bit quicker. I don't work particularly quick, but the tidiness is very important to me. So we'll keep repeating this three weave just a little bit further. So I've repeated that 6 times, and I've really pushed it together, really squeezed the weave together to get it nice and tidy. I'm going to flatten it a little bit as well. And now what I'm going to do, oh, first I've got to lose that tail end, pull it tight, cut it at the base, like I said, you can do any design with these wires to finish it off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to curve this around, to make a curve in the weave. And if you follow my tutorials, I think I might do this on every single one, because I love curved weaves. I love that shape and the way the weaves all come in nice and tidy as it curves around the wires. So I'm going to do a few more repeats on this, just to reach a little bit further. 3 wraps around both wires, 3 wraps around the bottom wire. And I think I'm going to do a figure of 8 weave across those 2 wires. So again, as we did at the beginning, let your wires separate a little bit like that. And I'm going to come over the bottom wire. I'm going to go straight over the top to start with, because I like my figure of 8 to come over the fronts of the wires. And I'm going to go between, around that top one again. So I'll come over the bottom wire, around that wire, then I'll go around that wire again, over the top wire, then I'll go around that wire again, over the bottom wire, and I'll go around that wire again, over the top wire, and around it again, and I'll keep doing that a few more times. And like I said, you can do anything you want with these wires, it's entirely up to you, it's your pendant that you're making. I'm going to repeat this a few more times. Try not to let those wires come together as you go in. Try and keep to the shape you originally separated them to. So I've woven almost to the end of my wires there. And I'm going to finish off with a few more wraps just around that bottom wire, about 5 times. And I'm going to cut that wire, but I'm going to leave a short length on there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this to go around the side of the stone. And I'm going to let this wire go to the back and have this one come into the front. So it kind of sits around the side of the stone. Again, this is just my idea, you can do whatever you like with it. And I'm going to finish that off like that in a minute. Going back to these 2 wires at the top here, I'm going to take the next one and I'm going to curve it around, make it follow that weave shape. But I'm actually going to go around the back of that weave. So seeing as I've already bent it, this could be a bit awkward. So it goes like that. Then I'm going to wrap that straight around to the back. And I'm going to do the same with the next one. I'm going to scoop it around to follow, and I'm going to go under that weave and to the back. Like that. And when it's in the right place where you want it, bend that wire to sit along the previous wire. Next thing I'm going to do is, like I say, you can do whatever you want with these wires, it's all just down to your own creativity really. I'm going to leave this one to the back there like that. This one I'm going to bring it up, bring it around the front of the weave, and then I'm going to take it to the back. So it sits again next to those other wires. So now I'm going to cut some wire lengths off. So we've nearly finished our pendant. These wires are just going to wrap around and tuck in there. So I'm going to cut them off quite short. And this one is just going to curl, I'm going to curl that with my round nose pliers. So I'm going to cut that one off quite short as well. These two are both the length I want them to be, so that's all the cutting. So now with these, I'll take my round nose pliers and I'm just going to curve those wires around so they'll go hopefully where I want them to. And tuck them down around there. I think they're going to be a little bit long. I'm just going to trim the ends off while I can still reach them. And I'm going to squeeze them around that neck part of the pendant. So they're all secure and they're not going to snag on anything, holding everything in place. This one, I think I'm going to cut a little bit more off that one as well. I'm going to curl that one around, grabbing it at the tip with your round nose pliers. Gently curl, keep twisting it around and around. And when you leave little curly shapes like this on pendants, it's important to close the curl, because if you leave it sticking out a bit it might snag on clothing, especially being on the back of the pendant. So I've finished that off like that. You should see it on the front. Just finishes off the pendant shape. Now these wires at the bottom, I want this weave to come over the front a bit. Like that, and that to go around to the back. So what I'm going to do, taking my fine round nose pliers, I'm just going to lift that wire up a little bit. So I can tuck this wire underneath it. I'm going to grab this wire. I'm grabbing it with the pliers because it's so short. I'm just going to post it under that wire there. And then I'm going to cut it quite short. Curl it around under that wire again. So that's nice and tidy. Press the wire down. Nice and secure, and it's not going to snag on anything. Now this wire to the front. I need to secure this to the front, and it joins there at the base of that weave, so I'm going to unwind this a little bit. I'm going to secure it to that wire, and then I shall wind that back on. So I'm going to need a little gap there, just so I can get the weaving wire through that wire. Behind that wire. Don't know if there's a big enough gap. Gap isn't big enough for me to get my wire through, so I'm going to use a pin to just gently push in there and ease that wire. So I've got just enough gap from a weaving wire because I don't want to make the stone loose, and that's way thicker than my weaving wire, so it should fit through there now, hopefully. So you want to attach this wire to that wire, so pull it really firmly, and then I'm going to go around it again. That's nice and secure, and then I'll go under that wire and I'll re-add those coils from before. It was about 5 coils. So that's nicely secured to that piece. So your main aim is to tie everything down so it won't snag on anything. I'm going to cut that off nice and short. Flatten that nice around that tail bit. That's what we've got so far, and I'm just going to curl this last wire. Put a bit of a bend in it. I'm just going to cut a little bit off, just a little bit shorter. Take my round nose pliers. I'm just going to curl this wire around, so gripping it right at the tips with the tips of the pliers. I'm going to start to twist the pliers around. Oops. Keep twisting it around till you're happy with it. I think I'm going to bend that wire in a bit more because it seems to have moved, and I need that wire to hold the stone on that side. So all I need to do now is make a little jump ring to put through the top there, and we're done. Jump ring I made earlier, silver filled jump ring. I'm going to open the ring, pop it through where I want it to go, just around that main weave. And then gently squeeze it together and make sure that they're nice and flush at the top. And there you have it, little wrapped cab. And like I say, there's so many things you can do. You could take this design and you could absolutely transform it into anything you wanted to. It's very versatile. And there we have it. I hope you found this tutorial useful. There's so much involved with wire wrap. There's so many things you can do, and it's entirely up to you what you do, how you do it. I was hoping I could just give you a few pointers on where to start, about tools and wires and wraps and rings. If you have any questions, please comment below. And thanks to everybody for watching. Hope I haven't put anybody off. And I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.